Alright,
Tank.
S is your best choice. A, pretty good. Nothing wrong with it. It is an above average choice. You're not going to be at a disadvantage. You're going
I
to
don't think you.
be at an advantage for the most part, actually. But it isn't your best of the best. B tier, average. Not bad, not good. Just average. C, almost good. Like, it is good, but it takes a little bit too much to make it good. D is your just for fun. These weapons kind of just don't fit in the game currently, and F is it just doesn't work. It's just not designed for this game currently.
I mean,
All right, starting off with abilities. We got light abilities, mediums, and then heavies in that order. So we start with the grapple. Light starting.
yeah, up top.
This I'd say is
Drop
A
on us
tier. Why? Grapple is pretty good movement. There's a lot of tech, and as people learn the grapple more and more, it will become better and better. Other than the grapple not needing a buff, if it was to get any changes, a lower cooldown to make it more usable on reaction, or make it speed up in terms of how fast it pulls you in, would also be nice. So you could use it to actually get out of fights. Evasive dash. Also A. Not your best choice, but it goddamn sure is close. Honestly, if this was ordered, it is not ordered. Tiers are not ordered. But if this was ordered, I'd say it's better than the grapple. You can use it to get out of basically any situation. It's very fast, and it is also perfect for reaction because of how quick it starts up. The downside is you don't get too much vertical. You can still go up, but it's not that much. Look, right now is S tier, and it will continue to be S tier until it gets nerfed. It is, while you can hear the cloak, and that's your major outplay, is listening for it and trying to triangulate its position based on where you're hearing it from, it is still kind of difficult. It's difficult to do, and more importantly, cloak has a major upside of once you break line of sight, it's hard to tell when you re-peek. It allows you to re-peek positions and hide in positions where people would not expect. And on top of that, when you're standing completely still, it is actually impossible to know where you are. Cloak's only major downside is that you don't have the mobility of the other weapons, or other abilities. Next, medium starting ability, Heal Beam, S tier. Straight S tier. This allows you to do so much. Incredibly good for securing cash outs. It can heal through gas and keep them about the same HP, and it will out heal fire damage, making it amazing for securing cash outs. The other good thing about Heal Beam is that in this game where healing takes quite some time to start up, it starts your healing instantly, allowing you to be in a fight way longer than you probably should be allowed. Alright, next, the Guardian Turret. I'm gonna say this is B tier. It is annoying, definitely. Definitely annoying. But it's unreliable. Very unreliable, actually. There has been times where I've stood in front of a turret and it just didn't shoot me. There's also been times where the turret's the thing that wins, but it's so inconsistent that it's hard for me to rate it above average. On top of that, one good glitch grenade, glitch mine, nade spam, all can destroy this turret or disable it. Which is why it is B tier. Finally, recon senses, A tier.
All behind me.
If you have another healer on your, another medium on your team running heals, 100% you should be running recon senses, because it is so good. Perfect information on the entire map is ridiculous, and it's on medium of all classes. This is a light ability that is on a medium. If we look at the insane amount of value that being able to call for your team is, and understanding rotations, this is like perfect for your IGL and understanding where to reposition, move towards. Very good ability. It's only beaten by Heal Beam because Heal Beam allows you to do more in the fight. Alright, let's move on to heavy. First things
They're all
first,
at the other wall.
its starting ability, the charge, I'd say is A tier. Very destructive, does good damage, knocks enemies back, and you can just break buildings so fast with it. It is very versatile, but I wouldn't say
What the fuck?
it like redefines how you play heavy. It just supplements it so well, on top of also giving you a good amount of mobility,
by the way.
which the heavy sorely lacks.
This guy was invis.
Next, we're going to talk about the mesh shield.
Sworded me. I don't know.
Alright, come on. We all know this thing is ridiculously strong. Shield, you just put up a shield in front of you. You can't get shot, your teammates can shoot through it and hit your enemies. It has a ton of HP, basically doubling your, like more than doubling your HP pool. It is very, very strong for any team fight. On top of that, putting up this shield allows your medium player with heals to just heal you back to full, so you basically never lost HP. It lets you reset fights really well. It's incredible. Finally, Goo Gun. I want to say Goo Gun is average. Reason behind Goo Gun being average is that while it has interesting uses in blocking off sights, making it really hard to push, creating interesting terrain, truth is, one source of fire basically counters all of the goo.
On point.
That is the major problem with the Goo Gun.
He dropped.
He's hat.
Alright, now that that's out the way, let's move on to weapons. Alright, riot shield, for fun. This weapon
Got him.
is interesting.
One more left.
You're very hard to kill when you have it. It's melee only on medium, which kind of sucks. Best part about it is that people start freaking out when they see it. However, there is something that I noticed. I don't know if it's like intentional or not, but if there's a right shield, you can shoot their toes if they're just holding it up. I've done it multiple times, so I don't know if that's intentional or not, and if it is, that hurts this weapon a lot. If it isn't and it gets fixed, I can see this moving up to C tier,
Oh, he actually 1 HP.
and maybe even B tier if it is a bug.
Like half.
The shotgun, the Model 1887s from Modern Warfare 2. These things are interesting. You can two-shot with it. It's
Oh shit.
I don't know how to explain it. It is very good at spy checking for invis because of it being a shotgun. That's one of the things that shotguns do really well, is being able to spy check. On top of that, its DPS might not be amazing, but it's not horrible to the point where you wouldn't want to use it. On top of that, the amount of damage it does in one shot is very, very good for
Big heavy.
putting on the pressure on your enemies.
It's just a heavy. He's going for
Anything else that's like really... Nah, there's nothing else that's really, really important with it. That's probably due to it being such an average weapon. Something interesting about it though, it doesn't have a headshot. You cannot headshot with it, so never aim for the head. Also, one thing that really annoys me with it is its reload time is like 4 seconds. You can of course cancel the reload, but it is kind of annoying.
I'm in.
Next, we have the grenade launcher.
What the fuck?
I'm gonna say it, D tier.
That was weird.
Right now, doesn't fit in the game. Similar to the right shield, it just doesn't fit in the game. 75 damage per shot with the directs being 100, meaning you still need a 2-tap. You need 2 shots to kill a light,
He's hat.
and this is directing, right? With splash, it's 2 shots, but but if the light is jumping around and stuff, it's very likely you're gonna get some fall off and you're gonna get way less damage and blah blah blah. It's so not very good. On top of that, the mag size is low. Damage per mag is painfully low as well. In comparison to even the 1887 that we just talked about, it is
On me.
horrible.
The heavy.
Heavies also have.
One
Everybody's
HP.
have.
Its fire rate is surprisingly pretty good though, at
my God,
210 RPM.
What just happened when we died?
But
They're playing a really
honestly, I don't think it's worth learning. Because projectile weapons in this game are incredibly bad due to how inconsistent it is and how fast moving a lot of this game is. Projectile weapons just in general right now move too slow and do too low damage for it to be good.
Nice.
Next,
Can you get the thing?
the AKM
I
A
got-
tier.
oh.
Oh, I didn't see that.
So the bug where it was sometimes just randomly doing 30 damage when it shouldn't be is gone, which sucks. Not really though, because it makes sense. 20 damage per bullet, 30 on a headshot, with a big magazine size of 36. You have the second most to the Model 1887s. Second most damage per magazine with this gun, which is awesome. You can shred shields. If you're fighting a team that is running a lot of shields and you know that they like to run
There's two on me.
like two heavies with a lot of shields, the AKM is your best choice by far.
Oh, he's 1 health on the second floor.
Okay reload speed, and the DPS is kinda low at only 200 if you're hitting body shots. But honestly, if you can hit your one clips,
Good shit.
this gun is pretty good, and it is your best choice against teams of with multiple heavies due to its shield breaking capabilities. FCAR, S tier. This gun has the better damage profile over the AKM with 26 per shot, 39 for a headshot.
Help me behind. Bro.
It has
There's another team.
the same rate of fire as the AKM, faster reload,
Other guy.
higher DPS,
He just blew
with
brick in
its
the building. That's nothing
the
to do.
only other weapon that can beat it in terms of headshot DPS is the revolver, which we'll get to. But this gun has so little recoil. It perfectly plays to this game with low recoil, good damage per bullet, full auto, hit scan.
I'm back, I'm back.
The sight is also another thing that you need to also consider with guns like these. The sight makes it so much easier to track a target. On top of that, its only major downside is its mag, which means per magazine, of course, you're going to be doing less. Meaning against teams of heavies,
Got it.
this is going to be worse than the AKM.
We paused.
But right now, mediums are the dominant class in the game, which is what lets it be better. Alright, next we have the revolver, the R357,
This guy just shooting.
A tier. The really good damage per shot, 74, 148 on a crit, meaning if somebody sneezed on a light, this one shots. 6 shots in the clip is kind of bad, but if you're hitting your shots, that doesn't really matter. On top of that, while it has a low mag size, and you know that is kind of bad paired with its like lower rate of fire, its DPS is still the highest in the category if you can hit the headshots because of how much damage it does per shot. It allows you to use it in basically any situation. The burst damage this weapon gives is also ridiculous. It is so good in terms of dealing with heavies because you can nuke them down so fast that sometimes people just don't expect it. Now, if you're not hitting your shots, this thing, I think, falls down to a B tier. And maybe even a C tier if you're missing that much. But it is a very good gun once you master it. Alright, let's move on to the heavy weapons. Starting with the flamethrower, C tier. Damage per tick, I guess, because it's not really a bullet, is 28. Making it higher than both the guns, like machine guns, both of them, but it cannot headshot. Only 30 ticks, I guess, would be what I call it. But it also has a damage over time, which is interesting. And I want to also point out that the flamethrower is kind of weird because one ammo tick that you see like goes down, it will sometimes it can burn two ticks, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So if one tick applies the burn, a second tick can happen before it takes ammo, which
One's low.
increases its
Behind
time to
the
kill.
Got one?
But it's random, so I can't tell if that's intentional or not, which is its real problem. You don't know if it's intentional. On top of that, no critting means you're stuck at 28 damage, which is low. If somebody is on a cash out, this is actually your worst choice because of not being able to headshot. Its DPS is horrendous at only 79, not counting the inconsistent ticks, which makes it kind of impossible to truly know what you're getting with this weapon, which is why it is a C tier. If it gets fixed to always take 2 per tick, or they buff the damage, or buff the rate of fire, or buff something, it'll go up to B or A tier. Another interesting thing to note is that because of how fire works in this game, the flamethrower can set anything that any map that has large forests. The flamethrower can set it all ablaze because fire spreads very rapidly. So it has interesting uses, but there is currently not really many maps that have forests. And the one that does is only like a small section of the map. Next, the starter weapon, the M60, I think is A tier.
One health. If it's actually one.
The M60 does 23 damage per bullet, 35 per crit, with a 70 magazine,
Where?
and at 600 RPM. This gun technically out DPS's the Lewis gun
What the?
because of its rate of fire being 600 compared to the Lewis gun's 480. The major problem with it is that it is actually impossible to track targets with because of how giant the iron sights are. The iron sights and the recoil make it like really a hassle to use, which is why it's only an A tier. If you can control it and track your targets really well, even with all these like negatives, I'd say this thing is a solid S tier over the Lewis gun.
Heavy's half. He went up the.
Speaking of the Lewis gun, for the majority of the players, this is the better gun in every way, shape, and form, and it's not even close.
I got him. I killed him.
It has more damage per bullet, meaning per shot you're hitting more,
He went across.
which in turn is better for majority of players because if you're not hitting every single bullet, this allows for more leeway because you get more damage on target, meaning your teammates can follow up easier on your kill. Its crit damage, of course, is also higher. It has only 47 bullets as opposed to the M60's 70, but its damage per magazine is over 1,000, which
I'm gonna go right side.
generally, if you have a team with you, is more than enough to shred a shield. On top of that, it reloads faster, so
Anybody
in
else?
my opinion, it is better because of it doing more damage for the majority of players. Once you can master the M60, maybe it'll be better, but
No, you're
I
fine.
think the ease of use of the Lewis gun, plus actually being able to see your target consistently, makes it better. Sledgehammer, F tier. I know a lot of people love this gun, or this weapon, but I'm just gonna say it how it is. It does not work in this game.
You dropped
It's slow on the slowest class. It does 90 damage per hit with the alt fire doing 200. But
They didn't even get the
truth
money.
is, if you're ever in range of somebody, that means that we're just not aware of you. Like that's the truth. The sledgehammer is ridiculously inconsistent, and you should really realistically never use it if you're trying to win. However, it does have one interesting thing, which is how destructive it is, and it allows you to completely level a building. Now, I say this is interesting because
Crazy.
you can do it still with other weapons, with other things on the heavies, specifically the charge or the RPG. But the RPG takes some time. This allows you to destroy stuff without a cooldown, but personally, I think that it just doesn't fit the game. Same problem with Medium's grenade launcher, except it has no direct hit. That means this is incredibly inconsistent. You have to look at the floor and shoot it, meaning it has to burst. Like, you have to bounce it off the floor to hopefully get it to explode near an enemy, which reduces its time to kill by, which reduces its easy use by so much, which is the main reason it's in D tier. It's so annoying to use. If it could direct impact, it might be too strong, but it only does 80 per explosive. And what if it was to direct maybe like 120? I think that would be perfectly fine. But until that happens, I'd say it's D tier. I don't even find it fun to use personally, but if you do, you do.
RPG.
Next, the shotgun. A tier. Now, hold on. Before anybody says anything, this is the best DPS in the game. It's not even close. Best damage per, second best damage per magazine as well, probably. It is ridiculous. However, the thing is, heavy allows you to do what the medium cannot do, which is consistently get close. Which the it allows you to consistently choose to get close. The medium's shotgun will never. You can never choose to get close because of how slow medium is in terms of a fight. Bounce pad will put you out of the shotgun's effective range, and zipline takes too long to deploy, so it doesn't really work. Heavy, with mesh shield, dome shield, the charge, can choose to get in whenever they want, and choose to not fight when they don't have the advantage. That's why the shotgun's A tier. The reason it's not S tier with the Lewis gun is because the Lewis gun allows you to use it in more than just close range. This is important because there are some points where if you're not defending, you cannot choose to fight close range because you'll just get poked down before you can fight. Or if a glitch grenade hits you when you're using the shotgun, you've basically lost the fight because you can't contribute. Now, of course, that being said, in actual play, people fall into the close range too much and die a lot, but in the end, I'd say the Lewis gun is the best choice for heavy, with the shotgun being the second best choice. Alright, let's move on to light. This is what I personally main, with medium being my second most played, but light is my most played. So this is more of a, I have more of an in-depth look at this one over other classes. First off, the LH1, instant A tier. The buff that they did most recently has changed this gun from like a B tier to a definite A tier. This gun per shot is doing 47 to the body. With a melee or like anything sneezing on their opponent, it's a 3-shot on a light of only bodies. It does 90 per headshot. If the revolver is the medium's choice to destroy heavies, this is the light's choice. On top of that, it has a rate of fire, which I was able to get personally around 400, like around 400 at one point, but I think 300 is as much as the game allows you to get now, because at one point I swear you could get higher, but I think it's limited now, meaning your DPS is only like 200 on the body, But if you're hitting headshots with this, it jumps up to 450, and each of those bullets are chunking. This is so good because bullets chunking allows you to outdo healing. On top of that, it's your best option for long range fights. With, I think, the only downside being, I feel like the crosshair is slightly misaligned, but I'm not sure. But like the actual downside is that the visual recoil is ridiculous on the gun. But once you understand the visual recoil, this gun is amazing. Next, M11. Also A tier. The recent buff again brought this up to A tier from average. This gun is let me see. If I look at it, it is better DPS than the other SMG, which everybody uses in terms of body shot. If you look at headshots, it's worse. But against light, medium, and heavy, if you're hitting body shots, which is more consistent than hitting headshots, you will always be killing faster than with the other light weapon. Other SMG, I should say. Its downside is that it is way harder to use because, guess what? Recoil is ridiculous, and that's really the major problem. It's hard to control. And because it does less damage per bullet, you also need to be more accurate per shot. Its rate of fire is also a lot higher, meaning you shoot bullets out way faster. Personally, between the XP54 and the M11, the XP54 in my eyes is better because of the sight. Speaking of XP54, it's going S tier. It's your best choice. Not only does it have the sight, its headshot DPS is way better than the M11. It is easy. It's pretty easy to control. 30 bullets is good enough, right? And honestly, it is the most consistent weapon that Light has. Next, we look at the shotgun. Another A tier. Surprise, surprise. At launch, I would have said this was B or C. As the game plays more and more, it's an A. The reason it's an A is because of how good it works with Cloak. This thing lets you one-shot lights and mediums and is the best choice for just nuking a heavy off of anything. It being such a crazy nuke is what allows this weapon to be in A tier. Other than that, it's so niche that it's hard for me to say more than just get close and then it nukes. Next, the sniper. Oh boy. C tier. It is a fun weapon. That's all it is. It cannot one-shot. It cannot one-shot mediums, which is its major downside. This thing shoots so slow that if you headshot a medium, they will most likely be able to get into cover or get healed to a point where they can fight you and not die in one more shot before you can get another good shot lined up. It does it does good burst damage. I won't lie, it does really good burst damage. But all it can do is one good burst damage shot. Its DPS is, let me just look it up real quick. Its DPS is only 96 on body shots and only 192 on a headshot. Its DPS is lower than the amount of damage you get on a headshot. If this thing could one-shot mediums, it would be useful. Problem is, right now, there's a lot of barriers and a lot of healing, and that just makes it kind of hard to use the sniper. Another A tier, the V9S. 35 damage per bullet, so less than the LH1. 53 per headshot, which is also less than the LH1. 20 bullets, 600 rate of fire. So its DPS is 100 more at close range than the LH1. So why would you use this? why wouldn't you use this over the LH1? It has like no range, which is its major weakness.
Oh, no,
However,
oh, over here.
light,
Two of them.
more so than any of the other classes, lets you get into close range more than any other class. That is why the shotgun and the pistol can be rated A tier. It's because you can 100% of the time control your engagement distance. You can, if you get shot at a long range, you can, on light, with dashes, invis, and grapple, get out of the fight and get into a building and find your way to get closer to them.
Nice.
You cannot do that with medium, and it's difficult to do with heavy, because unless they have to defend the objective, they can just kite you forever. On light, you cannot get kited because of how fast you are. Its major downside, though, is that it requires not only a good trigger finger, but its really big problem is that its DPS is, while good, falls off very fast, which means in a shield fight, or in a fight where you have to shoot a shield because your glitch nades are on cooldown, it's kind of not very good. But because you're light and you have glitch nades, you don't have to worry about that too often. Which is why it's A tier. It's not S tier because it's not versatile, which is its major downside. On top of that, it's kind of annoying to have to click it every time. And getting to 600 for some people for the rate of fire is not gonna happen. Next, the throwing knife. Oh boy, another projectile weapon. I wanna love it so bad because it's so cool, but just looking at the numbers, it is not good. First off, the alt fire. Similar to the sniper, it cannot one-shot mediums, but you would think it could shoot faster than that. It cannot. It only shoots 27 shots per minute. The sniper, it does 50. The alt fire does good burst at 210, but you don't really need to use it if you can hit both of your throwing knives, which does 120 at a much faster 60 RPM. I'm gonna say it right now, the DPS just across the board on this thing, way too low. 75 DPS on the primary fire, hitting both attacks. Oh, my bad. 120 DPS hitting both shots, not including the having to take out 2 new knives. 60 DPS if you're only hitting a knife, and if you're alt firing and only hitting a body, it's 61. Not very good. The burst damage can be good, but it's also it is the slowest projectile, at least it feels like it, because you always have to lead at anything that's beyond like 10 meters, which is a problem. On top of that, its drop is incredibly bad, meaning you can't use it at range like the grenade launchers, but it doesn't even have the ability to bounce off walls.
Nice. Good job, mods.
I'm gonna just say the dagger doesn't really fit in the game currently. I love it, doesn't fit in the game. I said the dagger, I mean the throwing knives. Next, the dagger, C tier. There's a tech that you can do with the dagger and evasive dash, where if you start up a heavy attack and dash past an enemy, sometimes it will register as a backstab and kill the enemy, and you don't even need to turn around while you do it. Other than that, other than hitting backstabs, it's not good at all. You can backstab melee a heavy to insta-kill, so it can insta-kill every class, but so can the shotgun. It does 50 damage on a left click, but the shotgun would one-shot. It has less range than the shotgun. It just has too many downsides for it to be considered good. Finally, the rapier. Rapier is actually a B tier weapon, an average weapon. Why? When the dagger is getting shit on for just being a worse shotgun, why is the rapier in B? The rapier has lunge. Lunge lets you one-shot lights, lets you move super fast with evasive dash, allowing you to do things and move in ways that make you really hard to hit, especially when combined with evasive dash. Um, if I remember, I'll put up the name of a channel who has an amazing amount of
More like an hour.
sword gameplay, who shows how hard it is to actually hit a sword user.
Oh my god.
Eyes on me. He's 1 HP.
Finally, let's look at the equipment.
Well, my shit was at 10 mix. I don't know if that has.
Starting with the light. Stun gun, S tier.
He had invis.
Since there's 3 pieces of equipment a light character can, or that any character can have, there will be 3 of them in the S tier as your best choices. Stun gun is a best choice. Why is it a best choice? Because it basically allows you to stall cash outs and reses. Anything that is in action, it lets you stall. Doesn't help you win fights really, because most guns have pretty decent hipfire, but it allows you to stall really well. On top of making one person a very vulnerable target for your team and not letting them use their abilities, it is very, very good at doing all that. Breach charge. I think this is breach charge, and I think the one later is C4. I'm pretty sure at least, but I'm not completely sure.
Do you know where they are?
This is a B tier with the caveat that if you like nukes, it could be A tier. The problem with the breach charge is it does less damage than the C4.
Got one.
That's it.
Yeah, I see.
It doesn't. It makes the nukes less consistent,
Got him.
but you could still do them. Is it good? Yeah. It's very versatile. Very good killing power because of nukes.
Oh my
But
God.
in the end, it's still not very useful in a fight. It's useful before a fight because you can set things up. Vanishing Bomb. A tier. Vanishing Bomb is invis. If you're running dash or grapple, most of the time you're going to also be running Vanishing Bomb to get invis because of how strong it is. Unlike the cloak, this makes no noise after you throw it on the floor, allowing you to actually get away from people, on top of sneaking into positions because people won't hear you coming. Very, very strong.
They're here. Yeah.
Don't sleep on it.
Yeah.
And it also works for your whole team. Just saying. Motion sensor, C tier. I like the motion sensor because of its you know, it being a motion sensor. It needs more range, or it needs you to be able to throw more down at a faster rate.
For sure, 1 HP.
So maybe have a cap of 4 and have them come back every like 5 seconds,
Killed one with throwing knives.
about,
And he was
and
about 1 HP.
then it'll be good. I'm pretty sure these things can be destroyed with explosives, but I'm not completely sure. But that's another reason why it'd be so far down.
From where?
Glitch grenade, S tier, the other S tier.
I'm not here at all, I'm not gonna lie.
This thing will win fights on its own. There's nothing more to be said. A team is huddled in a corner, glitch nade them. Now they have no util.
I got
Yeah,
one.
they're committing.
A team is behind a shield, glitch nade it. No shield. In a bubble, no bubble. Turrets, no turrets. Mines, no mines. The only thing that can counter it is an APS turret. But if you throw it right at the edge of the APS turret's range, I think it'll still hit the turret. Next, thermal vision B. It used to be C or D in my eyes, but it has uses. There is a lot of times where there's just so much things on your screen that it's hard to see people. This thing will make it easier for the average player to find people. Now, me, I don't need it, but I can see people needing it. On top of that, when smoke grenades get fixed, this thing is going to be crazy with smokes. On top of that, it also lets you see through gas pretty easily, and I think it lets you see cloaks, but I'm not completely sure. Makes it really good for finding people if you can't find them already. Let's go to the medium stuff, the jump pad. S tier.
That was a shitty nade, bro.
Medium is
Oh,
gonna,
no.
funny enough, have 4 things in S tier because jump pad and grapple are both S tier. Now, I would never say run both, but you would run them interchangeably depending on the map and depending on your team. Zipline lets you do a lot of movement things
I messed up.
that you can't do with a
I
grapple,
did not expect
or with
that,
the,
man.
yeah, you can't do it with the grapple, you can't do it with a jump pad, you can't do it with dashes,
Okay, I did
because
not know that.
coming off of a zipline lets you
Oh, nice
keep
to
so
know.
much momentum for so little time on it that it's
There's
kind
a
of
heavy-
ridiculous.
There's a heavy and a light there.
Well, what's
It's
that?
both pinks.
But on the other hand,
You got
jump
the
pad
left
is
right.
like basically
Spawn.
instantaneous vertical movement and allows you to octane pad basically onto a team in a similar way to how you would octane pad onto people in Apex. This is perfect for executing, whereas the zipline is perfect for just general mobility. Next, the APS turret, A tier. Why is the APS A tier? Counters every grenade. If your plan hinges on a bunker strategy, APS turret, or it's not gonna work. One light is all it takes to shut it down if you don't have an APS turret. Tracking dart, C tier. It's fun to it's fun to just tracking dart somebody the entire match, especially if they're running invis, because then they're just useless the entire game. Other than that, it's not very good. Because you have better options such as the sonar grenade, S tier. This thing gives you so much intel, it's hard to say no to. Next,
Yeah.
the glitch trap. I'm pretty sure this is
Okay.
medium only, but it is bad. Now you can take it and throw it onto a barrel, kind of like a nuke, but like for the glitch nade. But it is not good. It's like if that's your plan, you might as well run a glitch grenade because you'll be able to do it more consistently.
Wood, bro.
Yeah, it's not good,
Algorithm took zip, bro, and
but
I
it looks cool when you do it, I guess. Defibs, S tier. Defibs, S tier, because, well, it's instantaneous res. There might be at half health, but it's instant. On top of that, they get iframes, meaning if you res somebody and dance around their body for a little bit, you are invulnerable as well, because they can't shoot you, and they can't shoot your teammate.
Backed it.
This thing needs a nerf.
Yeah, what was
Nothing
that?
else in this tier, like, I'm not calling for nerfs on anything but this defibs,
On your left,
because there's no reason why
I died.
running into a fight,
I got blown up,
defibbing
man.
somebody,
Freaking
and leaving is not, it might be hard to punish because of this person just got rezzed instantly and now has a ton of HP and could be getting healed,
Okay.
especially if it's a heavy. Like, it doesn't make sense that you can insta-res a heavy and then the heavy just holds up a shield and now basically they have another team fight by just the medium pressing a button and you can't punish it because they're invincible. That's just me though. Alright, we'll move on to heavy. C4, A tier, more damage than breaching charges. You can nuke, but consistently. That's why it's A tier. Everything the breach charge can do, it does it, but it does more damage. Barricade.
There's a purple heavy, pink heavy.
B tier. It has its uses. Each individual panel can get shot out, which is interesting. But
Trying to res.
honestly, there's way better choices if you want to use this. The goo gun is a better choice, for example,
Yo, look at this gun.
because you could do it more consistently.
Oh, that's...
But barricades
Look at the animation.
don't also aren't competing with charge and mesh shield, so I guess RPG S tier. You should literally always be using this. Like literally always be using this. A one shot of light does incredible burst. Break stuff, incredible.
Alright.
Next, dome shield. S tier part
One guy
2.
coming up on zip.
Come on, it's the dome shield. Did you really expect it to not be an S tier?
Die.
It is mesh shield again. That is how good it is.
One guy dropped.
Gas grenade. A tier.
One purple,
Very
one.
strong. Every class can use it. Very strong. Problem with the gas grenade is it has a counter. Fire. Fire grenade is also A tier for it being able to counter gas
Where is
grenade.
it?
Because of how good gas is, fire being able to counter it makes fire good. Problem is though, smoke grenades,
I'm stuck.
while in the game, are an A tier. Why? They don't work properly.
Bro,
When you
freaking
shoot somebody, their health bar will pop up, even through smoke, which makes them
my God.
bad because its entire purpose of visual blockage doesn't work if you get hit. On top of that, fire isn't as prevalent as gas, meaning doesn't really have much of a reason to be used to counter fire. Flash grenade, incredibly annoying when it goes off, can win you some fights. Enough said. I gotta figure out, or we'll talk about the mines last altogether. Grenades, A tier. This is the reason why the barricade's in B tier. Grenades do everything that the barricade can do, except you can do it more in more ways. You can do it above you, you can do it in front of you, you can throw it at enemies like peek hole to make it impossible to use. You can throw it to like block people from climbing and using zip lines. It's a lot of things that this can be used for. It's very versatile. Gets countered by fire, but it's very versatile.
Yeah.
Frag grenades,
This is the beginning
easiest S of my life. Now, I always run with cloak, taser, glitch, frags. Why? If you glitch a team, the glitch takes a second to go off. So glitch frag will glitch them. They'll see that they're glitched and try to react. But the frag will go off basically at the same time. On top of that, if a team is not running APS and they're huddled together, this will kill them like ridiculously fast. This is so good for starting a fight because it's just a ton of burst damage. Alright, now we'll talk about the mines. Gas mine, S tier. Anything, you can use them as a mine, you can use them to just leave in and then shoot to cover the bomb. It's just so good at space denial that honestly it should be a staple part of your kit. One of the mines at least. Pyro mine, A tier. It's a worse gas mine. Yeah, that's literally all I can say about it. It's just worse gas mine. Explosive mine. I like that they made it not one-shot lights. I don't think any mine should have a time where it one-shots. What would I do with the explosive mine is honestly stack two of them close to each other so it one-shots still. But then it at least takes two mines, which I think makes it balanced because it's still taking 2 PC utility to kill. This is my tier list. This is the one that how I view the game currently. If you disagree, you can disagree. I will not fight you on it because your thoughts and opinions are your own. That's what makes us humans. But honestly, this is what I believe the game is right now.